Welcome back to another lesson. This one is lesson 19 in the Sitcom series. We're looking at contemporary values and how popular culture expresses contemporary values. Now, as a popular culture medium, we know that in order for a pop culture to stay relevant, it needs to express contemporary values. So it needs to stay up to date with and reflect current culture beliefs, because if it doesn't, then consumers aren't going to be able to engage with it. Okay, if they're not engaging with it, they're not making as much profit as they could, therefore it defeats the whole purpose of being a pop culture, which is to make money. So that's the kind of Charlotte's Web of the situation there. When we look at contemporary values, we know that the word contemporary means current, new, relevant, modern, okay? And then we know that values are beliefs that we assign to certain things. So if we look at, say, values surrounding, or contemporary values surrounding gender, for example, Western society values equality, or at least in theory, values equality, values gender equity, equal representation. If we look at contemporary values surrounding ethnicity, okay, we again look at this idea of equality, that just because the colour of your skin shouldn't justify the life opportunities that you get. And then, as well as if we look at other core contemporary issues, I guess, that circulate within the media, we can look at things as well like sexuality, and a contemporary value would be that it is acceptable to be heterosexual, homosexual, pansexual, bisexual, whereas previously in sitcoms they would reflect the contemporary values that it was only appropriate to be heterosexual. So you can see how those contemporary values were reflected in older sitcoms with the types of jokes they would do, but here we're looking at how the popular culture currently reflects contemporary values, okay? And you can see this evidence throughout time in certain points. So there's a word bank here which I would like you to complete, which will give you a bit more of a foundational grounding as to what we mean when we look at contemporary values. Once you have done that, so pause, do that. Now that you're back, beautiful. We're going to look at a few examples today. I think the best way to really understand how contemporary values are prevalent in pop culture, similar to what we did last year, is have a lot of examples for you guys to be able to draw on. So the first one I wanted to look at was, there's an episode of The Simpsons where Lisa decides to become a ballerina, and the ballerinas Lisa discovers, in order to stay skinny, they all smoke. And then Homer actually catches her out smoking, pulls a gun out of his pocket and shoots it, and then makes some social ironic commentary saying something like, "I can't believe how easy it is to get cigarettes in this country." So by him reprimanding Lisa for smoking, he's also talking about the health risks and how society at that point in time, this would have been early 2000s, started to realise that, or the culture around smoking was predominantly bad. It gives you lung cancer, it's expensive for you, increases your risk of dying much earlier than you normally would if you didn't smoke. So by showing, I guess, reprimanding behaviour towards smoking, The Simpsons was reinforcing the contemporary values that smoking is no longer accepted by the majority of people in society. At the same time, though, he provided some social commentary on a contemporary issue regarding gun control by him talking about, "I can't believe how easy it is to get cigarettes in this country," whilst having 1, 2, 3, 4 guns strapped to his jacket pocket, is really commenting on the idea of gun control in America and how easy it is to get guns. So again, pushing and reflecting on that contemporary value that most Western culture countries frown upon having gun control as relaxed as it is in America, and indeed a lot of Americans also agree with that too. So that's, I guess, there where that episode is doing a double whammy, a 2-in-1 on gun control and underage smoking, as well as smoking in general, reflecting the contemporary value that it's typically not accepted across most Western cultures. If we move from that example, that's kind of an older one. Now, I'm not saying that The Simpsons showed contemporary values that we would say right now. Like if we look at something like racism, for example, which we looked at a few lessons ago with Terry being stopped because he was black in his neighbourhood. The idea that if we look at Apu from The Simpsons at the time, was very much racially vilified and stereotyped based on his Indian culture. So the contemporary value, and this happened across a lot of sitcoms, you could see that the contemporary value back then, 20, 30 years ago, was that it was still acceptable to make, it was acceptable to be racist if it was a joke, was the sort of cultural belief and value at the time. Now, that's not to say that everyone agreed with that, but the majority of consumers of sitcoms would have aligned with that or not taken it too seriously because it kept happening. Okay, it was only, sort of in the early 2010s and onwards that we saw a movement away from that in sitcom culture. So, other examples that I put, you guys seem to like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, so I thought we'd have a few examples here. So we've seen Season 4, Episode 16, Moo Moo. What we're going to do is, in class, I'm hoping to watch homophobia and sexism either back-to-back or seeing how we go for time, or just watching one and then the week after watching the next one. Now, the idea with this is that we can see contemporary sitcoms now because we need to look at how it's expressing current contemporary values. Brooklyn Nine-Nine is our best example for that. So they do another episode later on in Season 5 on homophobia, about Rosa coming out to her parents, and then they look about sexism later in Season 6 as well. So you can see sitcoms are tackling more contemporary issues within their content as well. So we'll watch some of those, and I provided a brief summary of what happened and how it reflects contemporary values at the end there. So we'll watch that together, and then hopefully you have a really core understanding on how popular culture expresses contemporary values. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.